Let's talk about a world that's built entirely on shadows, on whispers, and on the crushing weight of a single, all-encompassing lie. We're going to go deep into the anatomy of espionage to really get inside the mind and the mechanics of the most dangerous job in the game, being a double agent.
You know, it always starts like this, not with some big explosion, but with a quiet buzz in the middle of the night. This is the one call every operative, every asset, absolutely dreads. It means that the perfect, fragile world you've built is about to come crashing down. The game has just changed, and you're already playing catch-up.
2 words. That's it. That's all it takes. In the world of intelligence, this is basically checkmate. It doesn't even matter what they know or how they found out. The fact that they're even asking the question means you're compromised. Because in this line of work, getting close to being caught is the exact same thing as being finished.
So that one message kicks off a whole cascade of impossible choices. But here's the thing. To understand how a life like this unravels, you first have to understand how it was so carefully put together. We've got to dissect the lie, right down to its foundation. So, let's get into it.
Okay, so the very first thing you have to get is that a double agent isn't created in some sudden flash of betrayal. No, they are meticulously, painstakingly crafted. They aren't just recruited by the other side, they are repositioned. And that's a subtle but absolutely critical difference.
And this right here is the core paradox of being a double agent. See, a real defector, they burn their old life to the ground to start a new one. But a double agent, they're forced to live both lives at the exact same time, perfectly faking 2 different loyalties, and they're just trapped in this state of constant, unbearable tension.
Making a fake betrayal look real is a complete art form. It's a performance, really. You have to stage a controlled leak of information, you manufacture a believable reason for switching sides, and you leave a trail of, say, financial breadcrumbs that suggest you're unhappy. The whole point is to make the other side think that they're recruiting you, not that you're being placed right under their noses.
So, the entire foundation isn't actually built on trust at all. It's built on a story, a manufactured narrative. They accept you because your story, your greed, your ideology, your ambition, whatever it is, it just makes perfect sense to them. They think they get you, and that right there is their first and most fatal mistake.
But, getting in the door is just the beginning. Now the real work starts, and it's a constant psychological tightrope walk where every single move you make is being watched.
This is the key philosophy for survival. You can't be this perfect source who hands over everything without a hitch. That just screams plant. But your mistakes can't be too convenient either. You have to give them real, valuable intel, but you also have to sprinkle in these small, explainable flaws. It is an absolutely exhausting, nonstop performance.
And this really gets at the cold, hard reality of the job. For your handlers, your fear is totally irrelevant. Your stress, that's just another data point for them to analyze. You are an asset, a tool. You're meant to be maintained and deployed. And they expect you to hold your position, no matter how intense the pressure gets, because that is your function.
And here's the thing. The longer an asset is in place, the more valuable they become. But that value, well, it's a double-edged sword. Eventually, you go from just passing along information to being put at the very center of the action. And that's when the walls really start to close in.
The first real sign you're in deep trouble is a change in the routine, a summons to a high-level office with no explanation, a tiny shift in protocol, like not being offered a chair. This isn't a meeting, it's a test. Every word, every hesitation, every flicker of your eyes is being measured. They're applying pressure just to see where the cracks appear.
And there it is, the question. It's the one you've rehearsed in your head 1,000 times, but now it carries the weight of your life. Your entire cover story, the one they thought they understood so well, is being stress-tested in real time. The wrong answer, or even the right answer said the wrong way, and it's over.
This is the ultimate trap, because passing the test doesn't get you back to safety. It gets you a promotion. It gets you more responsibility. Now, you're tasked with running a major operation against your own country. You're not just reporting on the game anymore, you are a key player, and you're being forced to make moves that will have devastating consequences.
So now we've reached the end game. All that room you had to maneuver, to play one side off the other, it's just vanished. The asset isn't balancing 2 forces anymore. They're being crushed between them.
And here it is, the impossible conflict. Your new masters, they demand success. But if you sabotage the mission too obviously, you're exposed. On the other hand, your original handlers demand you make sure it fails. But letting the mission succeed is a catastrophic betrayal. There is no right move. There's no safe ground left to stand on.
And just like that, what was once a suspicion, it's now official. The other side isn't just watching you anymore. They are actively hunting you. An internal investigation means every piece of your work, every phone call, every action is being put under a microscope by people whose only job is to find the one loose thread that will unravel everything.
You know, the hard truth is, winning was never really on the table. The goal was always just to survive a little longer, to hold the position, to serve the purpose. There's no retirement plan here, no walking away into the sunset. The only question left is how it's all going to end.
And that's the final, agonizing choice, isn't it? When you're being crushed from both sides and the hunters are closing in, what's your last move? Do you serve the mission or your original masters? Do you protect yourself or your country? In a life that's been built on 1,000 calculated lies, your very last act becomes your one and only truth.